Hey everyone! Welcome to Anime Bakery. Today, we're celebrating anime's biggest food lovers. Join me as we sculpt an epic Chopper x Naruto crossover in Nomad Sculpt. I wanted to create an anime crossover figure with a foodie theme, and who better to feature than Naruto and Chopper from One Piece? They both share a deep love for food, making them the perfect match for this fun project. So let's get started. We'll start by sculpting Chopper's head from a sphere. Using the Move tool, I adjust the shape to align with the front view of my reference image. Switching to the side view, I use the Lathe tool to draw the profile of his body, allowing it to revolve into a closed geometry. Adding a little extra volume to his waist helps create that signature round-bellied look. Next, I drop in another sphere for Chopper's snout. Since he's a reindeer, his snout connects his nose, mouth, and jaw. I use the crease tool to carve out the shape of his upper lip. Then place a small sphere for his nose, reshaping it into a triangular form with a flattened top using the Move tool. Now, let's work on his jaw-dropping expression, a signature of One Piece characters. I use the Tube tool to outline the bottom lip, then turn on the radius option to adjust the thickness of each curved section for a natural shape. I make sure to switch to side view and connect the jaw to the lip and head for a seamless transition. To create his eyes, I set up a mirror group, so any geometry I add will automatically mirror along the chosen axis. I flatten a pair of spheres and position them properly. Then, using the Tube tool, I trace Chopper's arms and legs, adjusting thickness at the joints with the radius option. For his hooves, I bring in a pair of spheres, use the Trim tool to slice them into hemispheres, and adjust their rotation and placement to create the perfect hooves for both hands and feet. Now, let's work on his antlers. Staying in the mirror group, I use the Tube tool to draw a U-shape for the base of the antlers, then add L-shaped tubes as the main supports. Once positioned correctly, we're already halfway through the sculpt. At this point, I join the snout, mouth, and head together, as well as hooves and limbs. I use the Smooth tool to blend everything naturally. You're probably already familiar with Chopper's color scheme, so I'll focus on small details that enhance his vivid expression. Inside his mouth, I use a dark warm gray to shade the area behind the tongue, making his smile more expressive. I duplicate the eye geometry to create pupils, then color them black with reduced roughness for a glossy effect. To add fur texture, I open the material panel, select a fur texture map, and use the Stamp tool to apply. Adjusting the density and size by dragging while stamping gives me control over how much texture appears. I keep going until I achieve a natural fur effect. Now, let's move on to Chopper's signature shorts. I duplicate his body geometry and remove the fur layer. Then, I use the Select tool to mask the lower half of his body. In the Cell Mask settings, I hit Extract and scale it slightly outward to form the shorts. To create pant legs, I drop in 2 cylinders, turn on the whole option, and scale them to fit his legs. To smooth the edges, I open the subdivision panel, decrease max faces, and increase post subdivision. This softens the edges and makes the shorts look more natural. For Chopper's aviator-style hat, I start with a sphere, flatten it slightly, and use Cell Mask to select the main shell area. In the closing action setting, choose shell. Then hit extract and we will get the shell of the hat. After smoothing the edges, I use the drag tool to form two hanging flaps on the sides. For the brim, I drop in a cube, flatten and resize it, and position it above his forehead. Using the Move tool, I add a slight curve. Since I want a rounded effect, I turn on voxel remesh and lower the resolution to under 100, which makes the geometry pixelated. This allows me to use the Smooth tool to relax the surface before increasing the resolution again to around 200 for a clean, high-res finish. Take a deep breath. Now's a good time to save a copy of your model before we bring Chopper fully to life in the rest of this video. Let's start by separating his limbs if you've already joined them. I use the Gizmo tool to lift his arms, making it look like he's holding something. A slight torso rotation also adds movement, making him feel more alive. Next, I decide to give Chopper a Naruto-style jacket using the same method we used for his shorts. To really bring out the ninja aesthetic, let's add some accessories. And you probably guessed it, I'm making him a forehead protector. I create a flattened box on top of his hat brim, smooth it out, and then shape a cylinder with a hole to form a headband. Once that's in place, feel free to refine the outfit and start coloring it however you like. Now, let's take the details to the next level. This is where the scene really starts to come to life. After coloring Chopper's outfit, we move on to modeling a ramen bowl for him. I'm using the Lathe tool to create a ramen bowl out of revolvement. Then I'll use the drag tool to stretch a sphere mesh, shaping it into a natural, flowing arc, like noodles being lifted from the bowl. To complete the ramen, we need some delicious toppings. I start by trimming a sphere in half and placing it inside the bowl to act as the soup base. To make it more realistic, I apply a refraction material, giving it a slightly transparent, glossy look. Now, it's time to add ingredients: fish cake, scallions, and slices of meat. Here's where we use a new tool, Insert. This allows us to quickly place objects onto another surface and automatically snap them into position. I turn on clone mode, select the scallions, and tap to place them all over the soup's surface. Then, I bring in the fish cake and meat, positioning them to make the ramen look extra appetizing. And there it is, Chopper's delicious bowl of ramen is ready. Now, let's refine the outfit even further. Instead of completing all the details in one go, I like to keep every stage of the process at a balanced level. This way, the entire model progresses evenly, and we avoid getting stuck in small details too early. To add a zipper to his Naruto jacket, I use the Tube tool, switching the profile to rectangular. After validating the tube, I grab the Stamp tool and add in a zipper texture for added realism. Then, I decide to make his aviator hat fluffy, and for this, we'll use Nomad's latest triplanar function, which makes things super easy. First, I duplicate the hat object and turn its material to blending and lower the opacity to around 50%. Then, I subdivide the surface, making it high resolution. After importing a noise texture into the library, I open the stroke painting settings, hit the triplanar icon, and adjust the texture scale. Increasing the brush intensity, I tap Paint All, and boom, a fluffy fur texture appears instantly. To tone it down, I reduce the layer opacity, making it look more natural. Next, I use the stamp tool to add realistic textile textures to Chopper's jacket, giving it a more fabric-like feel. If the texture isn't appearing clearly, make sure to remesh or subdivide the mesh to increase its resolution. Now, it's time to refine the character using the brush and paint tools, enhancing the depth and personality with highlights, shadows, and fine details. I start by adding subtle wrinkles and folds to the jacket, making it look more natural and worn. Then, I apply a soft, rosy blush to Chopper's cheeks, emphasizing his delight as he enjoys his meal. To make his eyes pop, I carefully refine the pupils, adding highlights and reflections for a more expressive, lively gaze. Moving on to the antlers, I darken certain areas and add texture to mimic the rough, organic look of real antlers. These finishing touches help bring the entire character to life, making him feel even more dynamic and expressive. Finally, let's set up the lighting to make everything pop. You'll really see all the textures and details pay off once the right lighting is in place. In post-processing settings, I turn on the bloom effect, which adds a glow to highlight Chopper's pure foodie happiness. Can you feel the joy as he digs into that ramen? And there you have it. We just sculpted a Chopper x Naruto crossover figure in Nomad Sculpt. Be sure to try it yourself. If you enjoyed this and want to see more 3D sculpting and anime fan art, be sure to like and subscribe Anime Bakery. Let me know in the comments which anime mashup you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching and happy sculpting!